All right, episode 164. What does Mariah Carey Christmas have to do with the Fed rate hikes and the mortgage interest rates? You're going to find out right now. So you're going to want to tune in. You're going to want to tag people in this. You're going to want to share this right now.
Christmas, but some other words.
So episode 164. All right, today's going to be a fun one because we are going to be comparing how the Mariah Carey Christmas compares to the Fed rate hikes and mortgage interest rates. And before we really dive into that, because I know you're going to want to tag people in this, I know that you want to share this out, right? So while you're telling people like, man, the only real estate podcast guys are really talking about Mariah Carey Christmas. Mm-hmm. And how that impacts the Fed.
It is Christmas season already.
It is. It is.
If you're not one of those people, I'm sorry.
Or is it?
I am. I was listening to Christmas music on the way home from trick-or-treating at your house.
Definitely. It wasn't even November yet.
Bro, Halloween was over. We had already put the kids to bed. It was Christmas season to me.
Look, you and Nate are the same. But we got to thank our sponsors, right? So they're going to really want to be thanked in this one because, look, they're not the Mariah Carey Christmases of this show. And so Mortgage Mike of Texas, right? MortgageMikeOfTexas.com. If you're looking for that lending company that's going to really take care of your clients, especially right now where the volatility with interest rates are all over the place. I know I was talking to Mortgage Mike here on the way up here. He is just locked in. He's starting to actually see a lot of opportunities to help clients that are going to new builds.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
And the builders are not fighting it. They're still giving the concessions, right? The builders' own lending companies don't want the business.
They don't want the business. I mean, obviously they love the business. I don't think one of the things that I think people have not really taken into consideration when it comes to the lending side of things is like it's expensive to run a mortgage company, and one of the first places that builders are going to look to make cuts is their lending division because they don't actually need it to get deals done if they can get outside lenders to just come in and do it, right? So like they might actually be taking a loss on some of their lending products.
Yep.
So they're not going to fight you on lenders at all right now.
No. So go look. Reach out to Mortgage Mike. He's working all over Texas and Oklahoma. I know that he's working with a good buddy and a friend of our show, Justin Willman, in the Midland market, and doing great things out there. He was on their team call today. Today is Wednesday. So MortgageMikeOfTexas.com. He also lends in Oklahoma, as well as go then support the Ron Smith Armadillo Home Warranty. That one-page contract. Right? There's an opportunity for your clients right now for your clients to go negotiate the seller to pay for a home warranty. So get with the Ron over at Armadillo. Go to armadillo.1/tour, Tore. That way he knows that we sent you over there. And last but not least, our favorite property management company, Dana Wynn, over at homeward@dfw.com. We were having a conversation with Dana earlier this week. And actually, I have two conversations with that.
Oh, we have three because you haven't even looked at your phone. We just got a text about homework.
Did we?
Oh, we certainly did.
Let me look at this. This is breaking.
This is real-time homework
news. 16. Dana's looking at potentially managing 16 properties for one client.
Yeah. Whoa.
So
that guy sounds awesome.
Yeah. So we're able to, Homeward DFW is able to manage your portfolio, as well as we are starting to see our agents talking to homeowners who are considering renting their house rather than selling, right? Because right now that objection that all of us are facing is when we're talking to potential homeowners and sellers, right? Especially expireds and cancels.
Dude, I had this conversation today. Like, if you want like a real world example, like I was doing lead generation for Homeward today, like I always do, and had a lady reach out, and she said specifically that we sent her all the information. She said specifically, I'm interviewing multiple property management companies. I'm not going to get the price I want for the home. I live in Alabama, and I need to rent the home out. And I asked her specifically, I said, what's most important to you in a home, in a property management company? She was like, great communication. Somebody's going to take care of it. She said specifically, I do not want to be bothered by the property at all. Yeah. And I am hearing that all the time when I'm talking to people about this. This isn't even just like a pitch for home management. This is just like another way to take your lead generation. Like, she was not interested in managing this property, and she wasn't going to sell it either. So she had to do something from Alabama. She is hiring somebody to handle
There's
this.
a lot of those conversations right now. And if you're not going to be able to get the listing because they're just not selling because their equity position doesn't make sense, we'll get you paid.
Yeah. We'll
get you paid.
The referral fee in there is going to help offset your lead generation costs, right? Yeah. So, and there are ways to overcome the objection right now. I'm going to wait for the market to improve, but the chances are you're going to have to do a lot of work to really finesse that objection handling. So right now, get that over to Homeward DFW. Refer that to Dana Wynn. She'll take care of your clients. I know Nate's talking to one right now, just similar to what yours, Kelderman, where this guy's out of state. He's losing money on the house. It's an expensive mortgage. I think his mortgage is like $7,000 a month. Woo. Like the rent is going to be only $4,500 to $5,000. So he's he's looking at losing money no matter what.
Yeah.
How big is this house?
It's a big one.
The
conversation with him is, does he want to take the loss on his house by selling it, or does he want the slow pain of just writing an extra check every month between the rent difference and his mortgage?
Yeah.
And so Nate's walking him through that. We don't know which direction it is, but he's offering up Homeward DFW as a solution to come and manage it, because this guy's in New Jersey. He's obviously not going to manage it properly and correctly from there. And so
it'll get you in the door, guys.
Absolutely.
That conversation will get you in the door,
100%.
and then your skills can take it from there.
So go to homewarddfw.com, connect with Dana Wynn. You will thank us for doing so, and your wallet will thank you. So that's always a big one, especially with the way the real estate market's going. So
where is the real estate market going? What in the hell is happening? So we had the first of the month the other day. If you don't call expireds, you always recognize the abundance of opportunity on the first.
Opportunity?
Opportunity. It's like when you take appers and paternity too. I don't know. We had a lot of people calling. It was a really amazing day to be in the room and listen to the conversations. And I think
really was.
regardless of whether you call expireds or not, and this has nothing to do with Mariah Carey, regardless of whether you call expireds or not, listening to why people didn't sell and what the consumer, the person who actually owns the home, what their thought process is on the market, the person that you have to convince whether it is or not, to hear what went wrong is a really great opportunity, right? Sure. And I think we set 6 or 7 listing appointments yesterday as a team. It was a large amount. Set some more today. The cool thing is what that showed me. Now there was I think there was about 283 opportunities yesterday, right? That's a lot, and I heard a lot of the exact same thing, right? My agent said this price would be good. Mm-hmm. I thought the market was going to be a little bit better than this. Interest rates really effed me. And the only reason I say that is because not just about the rental thing, but I think as agents, we think there's a lot of different things that people say. And yes, there are a lot of things they can say. Sure. But at the end of the day, why people aren't selling and why it's coming off the market and the objections you have to overcome in general are all the exact things you would think they are. Yeah. Interest rates do bother people. The fact that they've seen houses selling for less does bother people. The fact that homes are sitting on the market for longer. So stop, as real estate agents, first off, PSA, stop over-promising your ability and what you can do. Start looking at the way the market's trending. And then obviously pick up the conversation with all the stuff that's happening the last couple of days.
Here's the thing. Really good agents are this is the morbid truth of the market that we're going to be in for a while. Is December is going to come up here very quickly. There are going to be a lot of agents that for one reason or another, unfortunately, don't end up renewing their
2 weeks depend pretty much the rest of the closings that are going to make you money for this year.
Yeah, pretty
about
much.
2 weeks.
Right. And so these, just like any other market, supply and demand tends to balance out. You're going to have the amount of agents that there needs to be to service the amount of deals that are done in 2023 and beyond. So if you're a strong agent and you weather this 120 to 150 day storm that we're kind of going through, before real estate just becomes stabilized and boring again, there's going to be the same amount of deals per agent on the other side as you can be. So if you're a strong agent right now, you're actually having probably easier conversations. I did an hour-long Zoom listing appointment with one of our agents on Thursday, and it was exactly what you're talking about. I was like, look, asked all the right questions, what's important to you, where he goes, blah, 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 whatever. We uncovered the entire story. His last agent just told him that if he listed and he hit the market a little late, his house is probably worth $550. His last agent told him to list at $700. He knew not to list then, but he's like, but I figured if I could get it, that'd be amazing. I don't really think that was possible, but I knew everybody else was selling for really high. I thought I'd take a shot. Once my agent had on the market, nothing was really happening. He stopped communicating with me. He just really didn't do anything at all. I think he was just looking for a quick check and hopefully that the market would take care of him. He's like, now I actually found a home in Sherman that I want to buy. And he's like, I'm happy taking $550, which is probably what it was worth. He's just like, I'm just not calling that guy again because he really overpromised and underdelivered. Like, he auditioned and showed me that he wasn't a true professional. And now I'm having a conversation for an hour with this guy where we just talk comps, numbers, the economy a little bit, and how, if his price is softening, then the home in Sherman is softening, and he's, getting a win there. He was on board. We're probably going to get this listing. And it's because some other agent said a whole bunch of bull crap 3 months ago that he never came through on. And now solid agents who actually study the markets every day and work hard on how to have good conversations are just like, yeah, dude, like, I'm crystal balling you and you're vibing with me because I'm a professional. So this is, guys, more than ever, it's a really, really, really important time to practice your skills, your conversational skills, your ability to have really insightful conversations with people that, by the way, need your help right now navigating this market. They need your help.
Well, I think when we look at where we potentially could head in this market, right, where today the Fed raised the rate by 0.75 of a point, right? So we're seeing that inflation may be responding okay. I mean, we may have peaked.
Jesse, what can you see NBC.com? What happened the last 30 seconds there? If you guys watched the Fed, the just Powell talk after the Fed meeting. Me and Jesse were watching in my office. It's so much fun to just watch the entire global economy hinge on every sentence that Jerome Powell says. It goes a percentage and a half up because he was sounding a little bullish. Then it goes a percentage and a half down because it was happening in real time. It was like riding the Titan at Six Flags.
If you look at the Fed raised their rate 0.75 of a point, we're now at the highest Fed rate since 2008.
Yes, with the NASDAQ fell off a cliff in the last few minutes there. Look at that.
Down 500 points. So
wow.
So NASDAQ, lost 3%. And as Fed Chair Powell signals intent to continue hiking rates. And so right now we're in November, the 3/4 rate hike went up. The 10-year Treasury, which mortgage interest rates follow, that actually fell below 4%. So it was like 3.98, 3.97%. But ultimately, we're more than likely going to see another, at least I think 50 basis points. So 0.5% in December. I don't think it's going to be.
So the next rate hike will be the most important because it will either be another 75 points or 50. 50, I believe. Whoa, 50, I believe. Nick is broke. I'm just kidding. 50, I believe.
Time to buy.
Will send the market rocketing north because I believe when you have 475 base. No, it wasn't even 475 because they had one full point, right? 375 points and one full percentage, I believe, rate hike in a row. Anything less than that feels like relief. And so I believe if you have a 50 basis point hike at the next meeting, you're going to see the markets respond very positively to that. And then what I believe the fear for everyone is that is watching the economy closer right now is it has to actually work. What can't happen, and this is what happened in the 70s twice, the Fed cannot wimp out at this point. And we'll just say it because this is a punk rock podcast. The Fed can't bitch out at this point. You have made this commitment to fight inflation. What the worst thing that can happen is the Fed hikes rates to an astronomical level and inflation does not come down, but the Fed gets really, really queasy about continuing to hike rates, and then you end up with high rates and high inflation. That's stagflation. That's the 70s.
Isn't that a real fear just with how it seems like the difference between the 70s and now is that the Fed is very reactionary to public opinion, whereas before it didn't seem like that mattered at all?
There's so many layers to this conversation, but I understand. So,
and I know it's not as new as easy as that.
Like back in the 70s, you think about like this is a much deeper conversation that I probably need to have some illicit drugs for. But the reality is this. political entities acted different in a world that wasn't as hyper-connected. They just did, right? When everything at the Fed happened behind closed doors, you didn't even know the chairman's name, and you heard about it once a year. Like, they operated in silence, and they made decisions probably in a little bit more practical manner. They have to be reactionary now because everybody is watching whatever is important with laser focus because it's in your face all day, every day. And so the Fed really, I don't believe the Fed does a good job and has in the past anything to do. I think they do an even worse job now just because we're so hypercritical because it's like everybody becomes an expert in everything and becomes critical of it the second it becomes important. Remember the Malaysian Airlines thing that blew up and everybody's like, that's not what happened.
Oh, remember every
bro,
internet
you've been on a
discussion
plane
ever.
twice. What are you even fucking talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, I looked up the cockpit.
That's every
diagrams.
comment section of social media that's ever existed.
But that extrapolates to
that's the difference between now and the 70s,
Yeah.
right? So in the 70s, like Brian said, the social media connection piece wasn't there, and just like we're talking about this, we have the armchair quarterbacks whomever you're following, if they're not studying it and they're just kind of briefly talking about it, they're following the wrong advice. And as a real estate business owner, what are you preparing for? So like with our agents, and I know Brian's doing it with Livian as well, is like, number one, I want to prepare my agents for a stagflation market.
Yep.
Look, I hope we don't hit it. I truly hope we don't get to that point. But if they're best prepared for that marketplace, and are we now set up in a better position if we don't hit it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Because the majority of agents I'm talking to don't even know what stagflation means.
Yeah.
They don't know.
I honestly think that, I know we've talked about this in the show before, but I also think it's very reasonable for one of you to be able to articulate a little bit the factors at force there, because that is important, right? Yeah. Like I think there are a lot of agents that when they hear that, they're like, that just sounds like another made-up word, like infotainment.
Yeah. No, stagflation is really easy to explain. Like the causes of it, if we understood all of the factors and what is causing it at any given time, we'd make different measures. You're trying to predict the behavior of 330 million people, but at a simplified way of explaining it is stagflation is high interest and high rates, or I'm sorry, high inflation and high rates, right? The Fed
and potentially
basically
high unemployment.
High unemployment, yes. You could have any combination. At least two of those three would create a stagflation.
So what happens to the market when that happens?
It locks up.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
So it's almost like you're drawing a line and no one's willing to cross over.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? And it's that stubbornness of who's going to cave in first. And depending on if we were to hit that, in the 70s it happened twice. We hit a stagflation market twice in the 70s. That's the last time we've been in that. And what I was educating our agents on is how do you invest or how do you win in that marketplace, right? Because money changes hands when problems are solved. So there will be problems. Yeah. If we get into a double-digit mortgage interest rate, do you truly believe that your traditional buyers are going to be chomping at the bit to go buy? Probably not. No. But whom else will be buying? Well, you have investors, right? So during the 70s, I started to research, and I think this started briefly Thursday, last week, so Wednesday or Thursday, and I started looking at the investment opportunities that did well during the 70s. Yeah. It was gold, the energy sector, and then real estate did well. But it's going into not that traditional market.
Sure.
It's going more into the investment cycle. So, rentals should still be there. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a leveling off at this moment, at least in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're starting to see higher evictions happening because we've got high costs. So inflation is starting to really impact renters. Yep. We're starting to see that higher rental costs impact renters. Mm-hmm. And now those are coming to a peak. And so ultimately something's going to give where they're going to put food on the table. They're going to figure out what they need to do, and they're going to stop paying their housing costs. They're going to delay that.
Does it feel a little bit like the rental market is slowing down about 6 months behind the purchase market? Because it's starting to feel like that, right? The insane rents that people were getting, it feels like that ball maybe isn't rolling back downhill, but certainly
we're surely not going to continue to see rents get pushed the way they were.
Yeah,
it's unaffordable. You can't have high inflation and continue to push rents.
But that housing demand was also there. So where that rental demand was coming from was the people that were also moving into our marketplaces and needing to go find a place. So we had low inventory on the sales side that normally, if we had a little bit higher inventory, would have have potentially decreased some of that rental demand, right? Because what that ended up doing was pushing those normal buyers into the rental market.
Yeah, that's the thing is we actually had a really weird secular chapter of the market there where housing demand from a purchase side wasn't actually decreasing rental demand, meaning it wasn't like everybody wanted to go buy a home so nobody wanted to rent. It was everybody wanted to go buy a home, but there were no homes because the inventory was so low. So a lot of people had to rent. And so you were able to push rents at the same time the sales prices got pushed. That usually doesn't happen like that.
So you talk about agents taking advantage of a market like this, right? And obviously like working with investors and like shifting your business a little bit. Let's be honest, right? We look at agents' production every day. The average agent does somewhere between 7 and 10 deals. That's not going to put you in a position to be able to personally invest in things. Investors are going to be few and far between that are legitimately real investors and have the ability to play in this market, and they're going to get gobbled up by agents who went into this market with a pretty solid understanding. How do agents who have to rely on going and getting listings and getting buyers survive what's happening right now?
Well, I'd say a couple things. One, and Nick says this all the time. We just said before, money is made when problems, or money
changes
hands when problems are solved. I've heard it enough. I thought I would know it. Right? You're just going to have to figure out how to solve people's problems. What's amazing about markets like this, I have a whole bit about this in the medical insurance ecosystem, which I think is a very interesting market as well. Like, products emerge when there is a need for them. So what you'll see is as things change and continue to change and where things might not have been working the same way they were before, you're going to see all sorts of opportunities to solve problems because products or services hit the market that otherwise didn't exist, right? Mortgage lenders are doing everything they can to find a place in the market right now, right? We didn't even have product offerings 6 months ago that we have right now, right? Every week we're talking about a new product offering, right? Free rate adjustment instead of a refinance, right? When you build up equity, right? 2-1 buy downs, right? Things like that. Like, they're giving you the answers. You need to be able to articulate those conversations. The reality is this: if I am a buyer right now and I have a motivation to buy a home, and I am a seller right now, and I have a great equity position, and I'm motivated to sell my home, I, as an agent, could match that buyer with that seller and say, here's your equity position, and have a great conversation around your equity run-up, right? And I could say, buyer, here's the product that you can utilize to make this monthly payment work for you. And that buyer and that seller, I could foster communication between them. We would go, we can concede a little on X, Y, and Z and still have a win. And with that concession on X, Y, and Z, whatever form that comes in, I can take advantage of maybe a product offering that makes this a win for me. And then we match them up. And you know what? That takes a lot higher skill set than fucking, let's go look at some houses and write a bunch of offers all over asking price. Like, it's just going to be a skilled agent's market.
So what that means is that your stock value as an agent continues to go up.
Yes.
Now, we're going to see less agents in the marketplace because they don't want to skill up. And
As we should.
Yes. We had as at the end of June, I think that everyone kept sharing it. And
Logan threw out a number today, and I don't know if maybe I misheard him. It was super in passing. 1.2 million agents, that sound about right?
There was
1.4.
There was 1.6 at the end of June.
Okay, so
right.
1.6. And like literally 50% of them not closing deals? Like,
Yes.
does that sound right?
So it was that. So that there was the.
That's bananas.
There was shared.
I would venture to guess that 50% of licensed agents close like one deal or less a year, maybe.
God bless it.
Yeah.
A lot of
How in the world-
part-time.
This isn't even about money, right? Like, it's not about money or part-time or how you run your business, because I know a lot of agents want to like kind of like chest up when you start talking about the amount of deals people close. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, like, when we look at our industry from that standpoint, there is a massive glut of humans. Now, I've got to imagine the people that are closing a deal or less a year aren't relying on that income for anything, so they're not going to go anywhere, right? Because there's no reason for them to. They're not even making any money.
Think of it this way:
probably also not doing that deal though next year.
No,
Probably
no.
not.
And think of it this way: is that our industry.
But those all can't be new agents either, though. Those have to be some agents who have just decided they're cool with that. They'll pay the $800,000-$900,000 a year to keep their license.
Whether this is right or wrong, they're in the business. So this is our association. So the National Association of Realtors is in the business they're a membership business.
100%.
So they're in the business to have as many licensees as possible.
Yeah,
in the
they
United
don't
States.
make money when you sell houses. They
I
make
get it.
money when you pay your dues.
I get it.
Yeah.
And it's like everything. We've all said this for years. The easiest way to make money in real estate is sell shit to real estate agents.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's honestly like that's the best way to go.
Check out Homeward Property Man.
Yeah, no doubt. Exactly. Mortgage Mike, Armadillo.
The crazy part is we couldn't get Tor.
1.4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 8 ton. Okay, here's exactly what you said. There are 1.4
reliable
million
source?
realtors in the U.S. 800,000 have not closed a deal. That means 800,000? That means 600,000 are doing
who's
all
the
of the
source
deals,
on
and
this?
of those 600,000,
Okay.
Was that on Twitter?
it's on the tweets.
I don't know if we can trust Twitter.
Again,
on
here's the
Twitter
thing:
is
is even if that number's terribly wrong, it still means half of the agents close 0. The other half close 100%, and then of that half, we say 20% are doing all of the deals.
Well, it's now they're saying 10% is doing 90% of the deal. Like they've changed it from that 80-20 Pareto principle to like a 90-10.
And this is the storm that you have to weather, right? Like
I think
this
with the rise of teams and platforms, that 90-10 is probably pretty
it's
accurate.
probably even more accurate. Yeah.
So the mega teams and platforms are going to, and this is what we've been talking about. We've talked about it on the show, so it's
For
no
a
surprise.
long time.
So platforms and the mega teams, which ultimately mega teams evolve into a platform model. So the Livians, the Places, the Empowereds, the whatever the other mega teams are, you start looking at that and start saying like, this now becomes a combination of scalability, driving down the cost to build your business and scale, and it helps put agents in a better position to win because what do the platforms have? They have money to spend to help go empower the agents to go and do what the agents need to do best. Now, the problem is the agents right now, where the biggest lagging mental piece, the mental hurdle from the agents is they still are in the mindset of they got in this to have no boss, time freedom, and earn unlimited income with those three. And so typically what happens is they don't make unlimited income because they do use too much time freedom, and they're their worst own boss.
Well,
They're the boss
horrible
of
bosses.
themselves.
They're trying to do every job in their business, right? And what they don't realize, guys, and this is not a commercial for teams, right? Or platforms. I'm also going to list the pros and cons, right? Like, I was on a team, and I did very, very well before we ever partnered. I had my best years in real estate when I was on a team. Because
did you do more business on a team?
I did exponentially. You know why? Because I sent everything to Joan and she handled it. And I did what I do really well. And that's go on appointments and talk to people and say fuck a lot.
And hit
right
bagels.
now. Right?
Yes.
Like this is what the individual agent, and this is not to crap on individual agents. If you're really good at what you do, awesome. Some individual agents out there can do all the jobs. That's amazing. We get into this business to have time freedom. And then we elect to do every job in our business, which sucks away our time freedom. We get into business to work on hours, and then we provide ourselves no leverage by doing all the jobs, so we have no time back.
But let's relate this back to
Mariah Carey.
Well, yeah. So we are going to touch on the beginning
We'll
part.
get there.
We'll get there. Don't worry.
How much you touch on Mariah Carey.
Yeah. Stay tuned in to the end of this of how Mariah Carey's Christmas correlates with Fed rates and mortgage rates.
It's too much of a
So. It's going to be a great build-up. We're not letting people down on this one, by the way.
I got a hot take on this. I think it's going to piss some people off.
This is not a letdown.
If we get Mariah Carey in studio and I don't know about it, I'm just going to be...
Dude, we can't afford her rider.
Yeah,
That's true.
but let's go back to what Brian, what you were
Yeah.
saying, Brian, about within the teams and the Fed rates and the mortgage rates is that when joining a platform or team, you as an agent can't do everything. You can't be everyone you can't be anything to everyone. So while if you're an individual agent, you're out there trying to go get deals. You're trying to get it from your sphere. Maybe you're trying to learn the cold lead generation methods. You're trying to buy internet leads. And then you're now having to try to keep up with what's happening in the marketplace. Yep. Right? You're probably not selling enough. You're probably not having enough closings to understand to have that experience of whether, all right, you took a listing 5 months ago and now you just took another listing today. That over the last 5 months, it's completely changed.
Yeah.
Right? So the platforms and the teams, the leadership within those organizations allow you to set yourself as the agent within that platform to win.
Let me tell you why that kind of matters regardless of the amount of units you close. Obviously, joining a team I don't know how the hell we got on this. Joining any team just to do the same thing you're doing doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But here's what's really advantageous, especially in like the run up of joining a team and even while you're building your business, especially one that moves units. the advantage of hearing everybody else's perspective. Do you know how many times I take conversations that someone else has and I have them like I had them? And I'm going to tell you right now, that ain't lying.
No.
Right? That's being a smart sales human.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I hear somebody else tell a story about a home that sold in Flower Mound, and then I'm on the phone with an expired who happens to be in Flower Mound. You don't think I'm regurgitating that story like Matt was front and center for that
collective.
shit? Like, why would, like, if you don't think that's valuable, I've told people all the time, there is a limit to value of leads and CRMs and signs and log boxes.
Sure.
There's a finite value to that. I can't tell you how many times I have closed a deal or helped somebody else close a deal solely off the ability to kind of drive that conversation in the proper direction. Yeah. I don't know what the ROI is on that. Whatever the hell commission check it was that kept you that deal together.
I can't tell you what the IRR is on like the intellectual, like progress that you make just being around those conversations. I would just put it to you this way, and I think Nick could probably speak for the exact same. Like, I know the numbers of our business. Every single one of the people, members of our team, that was an individual agent before they were a member of our team, has made more money in real estate than they ever have being on a team. And that, by the way, I don't mean to say that like just like teams are amazing. Like, I believe that we've built a very well-run team over a lot of years, and we didn't always have that value proposition. We work very hard at it every day. Not just joining a team is going to make you more money in real estate, because they're not all created equal. And I compare what we do and what Nick does to basically owning a gym, right? Like, you're going to have the equipment, you're going to have the trainers, you're going to have the diet plan, we'll even give you the food. You still got to go to the gym. And right now, going into this market, I think the reason that this is relevant to this conversation, even though we're getting kind of sidetracked, is you're going to need to go to the gym more hours of the day.
Nobody had to go to the gym before.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you were able to legitimately just sit on your couch and figuratively.
The market was on steroids.
It was just, you didn't have to do anything, right? Like, it's funny, if you follow any of this stuff on Instagram, you'll see there's like a huge push towards, like, in the bodybuilding industry, people just owning the fact that they're not natty. Right? That they're doing steroids. Like, this is a huge deal right now. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, just understand, all of us have been on real estate steroids, and now those steroids have been taken away.
Yes.
And the people who still want to lift are going to get less flabby than the dudes who just straight stop doing steroids and quit lifting. Those dudes are going to look sloppy as shit in 6 months.
I mean, this is just a thought I want to put in people's heads. It's like, this is regardless of teams or whatever. I just do want to put this thought in people's heads. There is no way to thrive in this business right now than just being in higher levels of activity, because you're going to have harder conversations, and so you're going to need to have more conversations. The only way to have more conversations is to spend more time lead generating. Right now, quite frankly, your motto really should be, if I didn't go on an appointment today, I'm just not done lead generating until I set an appointment. And that kind of always should have been your mindset, but like right now, when you start to get deals under contract and you're doing all of the other things that take you away from lead generation, like, what happens in a shift is the real estate roller coaster becomes exacerbated, because it's harder to get deals under contract. It's harder to convert prospects. And then when you do, you're spending just as much time babysitting your deals and getting everything done that isn't dollar productive. And so that lead generation time that you need so crucially, it becomes more valuable and you have less of it. Really, honestly, if you're a professional real estate agent right now and you don't have an appointment, you should be lead generating all 8 hours that day. You just should.
I will say this quietly and gently, because I say it to myself as much as I say it to everybody else. If you didn't set an appointment with somebody who wants to move forward in real estate that day, honestly, did you even do your fucking job? Did you do your job?
That's not very quiet or gentle.
Well, it's
also not.
The F is
I
in
don't.
there.
It's also not meant to be mean, right?
It's
Some
not,
days we
like,
try
I
really
didn't
hard
do
and
this.
we don't succeed.
It's not about.
But like, did you stop after 2 hours?
It's not about the softness of it, because that's the thing. Yeah. It's not about, like, because I understand what you want to do. You want to be like, hey, like, you didn't do a bad job if you didn't set an appointment. Right. You didn't do a bad job if you didn't set an appointment and you legitimately tried to for 8 hours. If
fair.
you didn't set an appointment, I said this to Brian yesterday, we give up on our dreams 2 hours at a time, dude.
That is actually true.
We do this all the time. Your 4-hour day is not the same as an 8-hour day.
Yeah,
it's just not.
If you didn't set an appointment and then you were just done at noon, well, then, yeah, you really didn't do your job.
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Look, if you went 9 to 5, you didn't set an appointment, but you lead generated the whole time, and you took a break for lunch, but your job is to lead generate and talk to people about buying and selling real estate, and you didn't set an appointment, well, look, you gave 8 solid hours. That's awesome. That's like, you're good. You keep doing that, you're going to set up a lot of appointments.
Yes.
If you stopped at noon and you just told yourself, we'll try again tomorrow, like, understand all the shit that you do in business planning clinic is bullshit. You're lying to yourself about your goals and the vision that you have for yourself. If you are so easily able to say, I'm done at noon with my lead generation, I didn't set an appointment and I have nothing going on the rest of the day, like, I just don't fully believe that you're as committed to your vision as you say you are. And by the way, that's okay. Your vision might just be something you made up, but let's not sit here and talk about how we want to make $500,000 a year and be done at noon when we don't have any appointments that day. It's
just not one person who does that.
What are we talking about, dude? Like, from somebody who makes money in this business, I'm fucking here late every day, guys. It's a job. You know what? Like other jobs, like all the other jobs in the world, you got to show up. And sometimes you got to stay really late. And then when the world changes around you, you got to stay even later. And then sometimes when you go home, you still have to work. But this is what you signed up for. This is what I signed up for.
I know we sound like divas, but this is not the Mariah Carey part of the show.
I know. I think that people thought that this was going to be the Mariah Carey
You
part.
guys thought this was it.
I'm going to change clothes, and that's going to be the Mariah Carey part. Did you see that episode of Cribs where she changed clothes like 5 times?
Yes.
Remember
I haven't
that?
thought of Cribs in a while.
I think about Cribs all the time.
What's happening over there?
What are you?
I love
You're
this.
just texting away.
Oh my god, I love it. Just put them on camera for 1
calls
second.
during the
I know.
podcast today.
One of the things that I do think is really cool about going into this, and I do want to talk to people about one of the things that they can actively do to reconnect, because this is one of my favorite times of the year for reconnecting with people. There's this really cool space around what we kind of deem the dead time of the year that if you've kind of ignored your database for a little bit, I think this is a really great time of year to reconnect. You've got this beautiful window leading up to Thanksgiving and even a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving that, depending how you word this, you can have a conversation with anybody you want. Hey, Nick, I know I haven't talked to you in a while, man. Just like, how was Thanksgiving? You guys got any big plans for Christmas?
Oh, so now you're calling me?
Right,
Thanks,
exactly.
man.
I know. I haven't
been
called.
3 years.
I haven't called you
What
in a
about
while.
the last 3 Christmases?
I know. Well, Nick, I was getting divorced. My life was in disarray, and things were really sad. My kid was crying every night, and I was super broke.
Way to go,
so I'm
Nick.
glad that you brought that pain back up.
Way to
What
go,
I really
Nick.
want to talk to you about is your Christmas plans, Nick. Are you moving? No. But my whole fucking point is like. My whole point
Oh
is
my
like,
gosh.
like at the end of the day, like I can have this really great conversation with Nick that even when he turns into a jerk and reminds me that I did not call him for lots of time, that I can still be like, look, man, that sucks. And isn't the holidays the time for forgiveness? I'd really like to be your friends again.
WWJD.
No, look, this is the best time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
No, you're 100%. And people, hopefully, typically are in better moods.
I mean, it's the reason for the season.
Yes, more that holiday spirit. It's a great time. Look, it's a great time to throw events, though. I will always say, and you guys are kind of similar to this.
We go to so many events this time of year. It's ridiculous.
so many events, but even for our clients, like I'm going to tell you, our holiday client event is usually the worst attended.
Really? No, ours is money. Like, and I'm terrible at planning events. That's actually not true.
Are we talking about pictures of Santa?
Yes.
I think it's
Ours
just
is-
a solid event.
Yeah,
Solid-
well,
ours has always been the worst.
Ours, we have some real killers that are heavy database, so we do it in Flower Mound, and it always gets a lot
So
of
with
attendance.
Yeah.
Chris, I
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
but if
I will admit, but here's the thing: is we have to own, and like this isn't even calling out our team, but this is just to be fully transparent, because sometimes we'll sit on this show that even like we don't do super well. This client event thing, this is a Chris deal, right? Like, and this is where I kind of will agree with Nick. Like, if we eliminated Chris's people from the pictures of Santa, it would probably look like what he's talking about.
Well, remember that time we did 2 that one year?
Yes.
And there was a stark divergence in the attendance between the 2.
And we spent 2 hours longer decorating for the smaller one,
Yes.
and probably more money. And like,
I-
the cool thing about that event, though, the one thing I will say about that is when you do throw events, put that bitch on Eventbrite, because we had like 4 people show up
So
who did not
a
even
lot
know
of
us,
people come.
who just showed up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we definitely do that. Here's what I think that we should do better is just own the fact that you don't know. We should make it almost a what's the right word for this? Like a blooper event, because I'm going to tell you, every year that we've had the Christmas or the photos with Santa, we've had some jank Santa. Like the first year that we had it, we however we ordered the Santa, like they have like a Santa order system.
Looks like Billy Bob Thornton.
That's what I was gonna say, bro.
No, this dude looked legit like Santa, but he came with instructions from the handler of do not give
Why
Santa
does he have a
alcohol.
handler?
big Santa.
Whatever the Santa
Was
organization
this Santa
is.
Josh Hamilton? Did you say you can't give him alcohol?
Yes.
What the fuck are we
It says,
talking about?
do not give this Santa alcohol, even if he asks.
And he will ask.
So we're like, That's a little
I
strange.
am almost sure I came to an event where you had the husband-wife Santa.
So did you come to that one at Lawyer's Title?
I think so.
That Santa was blind.
Okay, yes, I came to that Santa.
Yes, that Santa was blind.
Shout out blind people. This isn't a knock
No,
on
it's
them.
not a
It's
blind,
like-
but
Yeah, Santa can be blind.
But,
too.
let's not act like that's not a pattern break.
yeah.
That is an interesting characteristic
It
to
is.
have
Yes.
as a Santa. Yes.
Yeah, so it's always been. I'm sure there's one other, like really the one don't give alcohol to Santa was
That's
that one.
That
And-
one's.
But it's never truly been our best. I'll tell you, and we couldn't do it this year because the pumpkin patch place sold, and we were left scrambling.
You guys have killed it with that. I've always admired your
always
pumpkin
over
patch
300
thing.
people.
Yeah.
This year we did a fall event, and it was awful. Right?
Don't your Valentine's events rock too, though?
So
adult
pre-COVID,
ones? Yeah,
pre-COVID, we had some great, that because we did it. We were right next door to Papa Murphy's. We would pre-order these heart-shaped pizzas. That did great.
Have a kissing booth.
Yeah, during COVID, we definitely fell apart on a lot of our events.
They're coming back,
They
man.
are. They are. And so we're having to get back into it. What I really would like to do, and this is, look, off topic, but it's more about getting into client relationships because
absolutely.
the more client relationships we have, especially in the future where we're going, is that, or the way this market's headed, is that we need to during the tough times, really love on our clients.
Dude, I want to talk about this. Like, we were actually just up at Livy and Advanced in Vermont, and Livy brought in Jeff Glover, who I've never had an opportunity to see speak, and I signed up for Glover U in Orlando already.
Yeah.
Like, I've got like a 4-week time of travel in January, February. It's gonna be a fucking nightmare. But I'm gonna do the Glover U thing, hopefully, right? One of the things that I took away that he said speed to lead while still important, move to 1B. It's no longer 1A, right? Like, it used to just be get to the lead as quickly as possible. His whole thought process now, and like, if you guys don't know who Jeff Glover is, he legit sells real estate. He's not like a coach who doesn't sell real estate.
And this is
and
spot
he's
on.
like, I'll be super honest with you, he sells real estate in Detroit.
Yeah.
I don't want F to do with trying to hawk real estate in Detroit right now. And this dude and his team move units. And one of the things he was talking about was meeting the people where they are at, hitting them, not the old 10 days of pain, right? 3 texts, 3 calls, 3 emails in 3 days, right? And those texts are also DMs and PMs. He talked about using emojis and GIFs, stuff that you like. If you're kind of a savvy social person, you've already been doing, so that may not sound proper, it might not sound crazy to you, but when somebody responds to you with emojis and GIFs and you just keep responding with your straight-laced sentence with a period at the end of it, understand you're losing that person, right?
Absolutely.
And to what you're talking about, building relationships, this whole thing has been moving towards that. I will say, I think Gary Keller S the bed with Command a little bit. We have dumped on Command quite a bit on this show, in the sense that it was supposed to be like a social media platform. I think what he had dead on right, though, was people are no longer talking about real estate in zip codes and cities. They're talking about it in neighborhoods. They're talking about it at grocery stores. They're talking about it on a way, way smaller level.
So are you saying that we should have just like HEB parties?
Dude, if you're in Dallas right now, that's all
HEB open
everybody's
today, dude.
doing.
The Plano one.
I know.
one
And,
just opened.
and why are people waiting in line at the Plano HEB when the Frisco one's been open
So,
forever? If you're
drive up the
if you're a
street.
line waiter, you should have
It's
been over there
identical.
already.
I'm going to
dude.
tell you right now, Heather's like, oh God, because she's like, that's on her way to the office at Lawyers.
Yeah, it's on
and
our
she's
way
like,
home.
geez, now it's going to be traffic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I said, didn't the Frisco one open? There's no, what's the difference?
But one of the cool things that Command was doing was that it was like it had this really cool opportunity for people to go in and pin things and share things about their neighborhood and all that type of stuff. While that type of like conversation may not have been right at that exact moment, the idea around talking about real estate and relationships and hyper localism
Foursquare.
is what, dude.
That was a
just like TikTok is.
Do you remember that app?
Yes,
Foursquare?
dude. I get Foursquare memories all the time.
It made me think of that scene from The Office where Ryan's building like the Dunder Mifflin 2.0 website. He's
Oh,
like, you're
dude.
talking about the Lions game. It's all happening in our virtual paper store.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. But the idea was right. People are done
No,
talking
100%.
about real estate, and we've been told to do B2B interviews and been told to get hyper local forever. It is here, guys. Like, if you weren't already doing it, if you don't already have the 14,000 person Facebook group, like you, I'm not saying you missed. But the time was before.
No, I think
right?
I think where you win on this one though is number one that join a platform that you can leverage that out and
Move faster.
so you can move a lot faster. But
do deals.
But two is that throwing client events. Where I was going with this is that why not figure out how to piggyback? So that pumpkin patch event we did, what I loved about it is that we looked great, but we didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, because there were other people there already,
It was
right? That's
other
one of the
people-
genius things about it.
It was other people, and it was for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so, after this fall event that we just had, that did average at best. Like Steph did a great job putting it together. It just didn't have the great turnout.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, where can we piggyback off the nonprofits that throw great events that we can just get people to show up to, and that we pay for that entrance, and it combines us together. Now we make it a winning solution.
This is a culture thing, though, and again, like I'm wearing this Care, Serve, Give thing right now, and this is like a huge culture thing inside Livian right now, right? Like with it's the same thing that so many brokerages do, right? Like KW Cares, all those types of things, trying to get agents to give back. This is also an amazing way to give back to your community, guys. Like if you don't elect to do it through your brokerage, there are a lot of ways to donate money on your client's behalf. Buy bikes for kids. Buy freaking backpacks when school starts. Ways for you to tell your client, like, look, here's what we do. Every closing, I take 50 of the dollars I get from you, which I get it. You're making like 9 G's on a deal, and you're like, what do they care about $50? They don't care about $50. They care about the fact that you're the type of person who would do something like that, right? And so you do these types of things, and it builds community. I will tell you, Vanessa Pollock up in New Jersey and her team, they sell a ton of real estate based off being the type of people that people go to when shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you can build a whole. Chris Wise on our team has built a huge business off being the type of person who people can go to as a go-to person in their community. You can build a massive thing off being a part of community, and you don't necessarily have to have a Facebook group, whatever, but you do have to take some super intentional types of actions like client events and the shit that you guys are talking about doing, which is super amazing. And then I love the way that Nick's like been able to piggyback off other places where it's just busy.
Yeah.
So then you don't run into the deal where because my biggest fear is nobody's going to show up. I did that. I had like a photography one. I paid like $800.
The one at Rocket.
Nobody.
What's it called?
Rocket candy.
Rocket candy.
Like rocket.
It's not
sugar
rocket
or something.
candy.
Sugar
rocket.
rocket.
Fuel.
Candy rocket. I don't know. It used to be in
Deep
Ellum
Ellum candy store called Rocket something.
Yeah, it was
Just
something.
Google
It was cool. But nobody
Stick
showed
with
up. I
me.
paid $700 to photographers, all this other stuff, and nobody showed up. And that's our biggest fear. And so like there's ways to also work around that too.
And look, it's always about the invite, but
Yeah.
it does suck when no one shows up, right? Like
Rocket
it's a huge
Shout out Rocket
it's a
Fizz.
huge mental letdown when you put this energy together. You want it to go perfect.
It feels
and
like
then-
people don't like you, dude.
Yes.
It feels like nobody likes you. Like, let's be honest about what sucks. It's not even the loss of a few $100s. It's like nobody. I put money and effort in this, and nobody showed up. And this is also a lesson not just for real estate, but also for your fucking life. Like when other people invite you to stuff, and you say you're going to go, show up. Especially when somebody's planning something. Like your wife does an amazing job at this with the charcuterie boards and all these things. Like don't RSVP to something that you're not going to go to.
know. I heard it
right?
too.
And also recognize that when other people are showing up for things, right, or they're putting on an event, like respect those types of things. Like it's a hard, vulnerable thing to do. I believe
We renewed our vows this summer. All of you were there,
we were all there,
and some people were not.
and that's the thing is
It's annoying.
It's hard. It
call out
sucks.
the ones who weren't.
Yes,
I'll call off all 16 of them.
all 6. He knows the
Succession.
exact number.
No, I
so,
know.
no, but I just say that to say we understand the fear on this. I'm not trying to sit here and say that it's super easy to just throw an event and put it on, and it's also not the most impossible thing in the world to do.
No, 100%, dude, 100%. And it's funny going back to like just the idea, like it feels like mentally, like you both said, like it feels like mentally like defeating when people don't show up. Isn't that true about all of our activities though? You just talked about this a second ago, that like really frequency of follow-up has superseded speed to lead now as far as your lead conversion, the importance. But like I talked about this on our group coaching today. I was like, why don't we follow up? Is it because we feel pushy? That's for sure, 100%. Well, here's the best way to not feel pushy. Don't be the person that follows up and says, hey, just checking in, ready to do anything? That's not valuable. You are being pushy. Have something of value to say. Buyers need, and sellers, they need education right now. They need you to come with some sort of contribution every time you follow up with them. Follow up with them a lot and always have something interesting to say. The way you do that is to study the markets or products or something that's relevant. And then two, the other reason you don't follow up is because sometimes people stop being responsive. And then what happens when they're not responsive is we tend to get our feelings hurt. We feel like we don't like that. This is emotionally defeating. I don't like that you're not responding to me. We've been groomed by society that feels bad. And there's a difference between pain that protects us because it indicates that we're in danger, and pain that actually hurts us because it keeps us from doing something that is good for us. This type of emotional pain that you get when you're like stop following up because somebody hasn't responded to you, that's actually holding you back. If you're going to be growing a business in this market, you're going to need to be really resilient, and you're going to have to start to step back and be objective around what type of pain you're willing to endure. And there's a certain type of pain that actually keeps you from being in danger and keeps you safe. And there's a type of pain that actually holds you back from reaching your potential because you don't like the way you feel in that moment. And that's the pain you're going to need to get over.
Bro, that's a hot take, and I love it.
Are we still doing kissing booths? Is that a thing in this day and age?
First off, where did that come from?
Well, you guys were talking about kissing booths before.
Who?
Somebody said this
During
before.
your Valentine's event
Yeah.
that didn't even exist. Jesse just threw
I
it.
was wondering about it because I was just thinking about like 2022. Is that even a thing?
I mean,
If you did a kissing booth, you'd be canceled, right?
is it canceled? I don't know if you're canceled.
No,
don't
because
know.
you're not like forced to go in there with a stranger.
I also
I'll
think
go in there
it's-
with Victoria and then we'll kiss and we'll get a picture.
No. That's not what a kissing
No.
booth
That's not a
is.
kissing booth?
No.
No.
Kissing booth is where you like make out with some dude and you pay him $10.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
It's
But
like
it's a non-
borderline prostitution.
But what if it's for a nonprofit?
It's for a nonprofit.
I always just thought it was a weird thing in general. Like, hey, come to our carnival, ride the Ferris
Think about-
wheel,
think
play
about
some
Cool
games, make out
Runnings.
with this guy. It's a strange.
Remember
I
the
didn't know
movie
that was the
Cool
thing.
Runnings?
Yes, like Cool
Yeah.
Runnings.
Yes.
Cool running.
That is.
I remember the movie, but
Yeah.
no, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember
By the
that
way,
part.
by the
Or
way,
the movie The Kissing Booth on Netflix.
I definitely have not watched that.
yeah,
I've watched all three. It's a long 2020, guys.
I have
Yeah.
never wanted to jump across this table so bad in my life.
So how are we correlating the Mariah Carey Christmas with these Fed rates?
Well, you were excluded from this text message
Yes,
earlier, and I'll
yeah,
read it
thank you.
because young Jesse is off camera, so I will find said text message here. And Nick was I got randomly included in this golf like freaking message, and so
and I'm in the golf group, so
which
I
is
don't
weird because
understand
I'm the worst
What
golfer
happened?
ever.
One day earlier this year, Nick bailed on golf.
there was
He
no
did.
bailing.
He
No,
bailed.
that is
Jesse
not true.
He
was
bailed,
also
100%.
there.
First off, that text message was on January 15th.
It was the day after you bailed on golf.
Yes.
My birthday was the 14th, so
That's
first
probably
off,
why you bailed.
I really doubt that we golf.
You probably had
all
2
the
drinks and were sick for a week.
So we asked Matt to fill in.
So here's what happened, because like let's be honest, part of the reason why this is super relevant is the second Halloween's ends, Mariah Carey pops up on all of our social media.
Well, that's because of Force.
It's the worst, right? And I'm going to
there.
preempt my opinion on this. Is I've thought Mariah Carey was terrible since like right after she did that video with Mace and Puffy. So
I
like
remember that one.
I've been out on her for a minute. So Jesse sends this thing. He says our hypothetical question for today in honor of Mariah Carey is, what is one song you could get rid of forever and nobody would ever have to hear it again? And just be like, it's obvious that all Mariah Carey songs
gonna be so good.
don't have to necessarily go. Like there's some that I'll sing
I
around.
really like a lot of Mariah Carey.
I don't
songs.
mind
I
it.
don't love that one.
I hate the way that we've kind of made Mariah Carey cool as she's gotten more and more obnoxious. Like I like Mariah Carey right up until like 99, maybe
That's actually a
2002.
good
It's like prime
thing.
Mariah
Has
Carey.
anybody more seamlessly transitioned into being a bit than Mariah Carey?
Dude, she just, I mean,
Charlie Sheen might be the only other example.
but we don't trot Sheen out anymore.
We don't.
We
He's-
we
he's
trot
expired.
Mariah Carey out every.
Sheen didn't even
every-
get canceled. He expired.
No, she didn't get canceled. She's married Nick Cannon
No,
and
that's
started looking like an
Sheen.
idiot.
Charlie Sheen. He didn't even get canceled.
Yeah.
He just expired.
Yeah,
Just
nobody was
stopped being
interested in that.
relevant.
So I don't necessarily have a song, but I do have a hot take on a band that like I grew up with, in the sense that all my college buddies listen to it, and it really freaking annoys me.
Here we go.
And I understand they are the catalyst for pretty much music going forward, but I swear to God, why are we so bent out of shape about what the Beatles did? Like, can we just? Is there? He's on Kid 20. Can we just acknowledge that, like, I understand that maybe I'm a little removed from it, and the Beatles influence all kinds of stuff, and there's probably songs I like that wouldn't exist if the Beatles didn't exist. But can we stop acting like everything they did is worth a damn? Because there's a lot of stuff that's just trash.
That's actually okay. That's an even keeled, level headed take. Because I will tell you, I think one of the reasons you're feeling this way is because maybe the Beatles were forced on you a lot by friends and
it's
stuff.
just like every song. It's like, oh, every
I-
bit of their catalog's good. I'm like, no, it's not.
Okay, so I will agree with you on that. I did not grow up with people forcing the Beatles on me, and I actually really love a lot of Beatles songs. In fact, like I'm the guy. I went to see a Beatles cover band a couple years ago, my wife and I, with our family, and I'm like the guy that when you sing along with some of the obscure songs, people are like, you know this one? You like, and because I actually like a lot of their music. And nobody told me how great they were growing up. So I kind of discovered them on my own. I think that if everyone was telling me how great the Beatles were all the time, I'd kind of feel the same way. Because I will also tell you, they have a massive catalog, and it's not all good.
First off,
It's a
no one
lot of
told
not
you they
good
were
stuff.
great growing up. People
Nobody
talk-
forced it on me, is what I'm saying.
Everybody knows they're great.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, look, the Beatles are easy to shit on because they're at the top of the mountain, and I will also say my opinion sucks because I like some Ja Rule songs. Like, there's no way that you
Put
could
It On
actually
Me
take me
is
as a
an
musical
American
authority.
classic. But I agree that the Beatles catalog, pound for pound, does not add up to a lot of bands. They have like 30% good songs. Like, you could lose 70% of the Beatles catalog.
You
and
wouldn't even care.
notice.
No.
All of their albums have like 30 songs on them, and they have like 50 albums.
Well, I'll flip the script. Like the
not
guy
all
who
good.
the guy who owns the Beatles catalog, I could listen to. Like, we'll take another massive person.
Michael Jackson?
I could listen to every Michael Jackson song all the time.
No,
Like, Michael
isn't-
Jackson is rad.
Isn't it Michael Jackson's estate?
Yeah, he owns all the Beatles. Yeah, he owns that.
still-
Yeah,
still
he does.
is.
Or he did before he died.
Who owns the Beatles?
Paul
estate now?
he and Paul McCartney fell apart because he
Of
bought the whole Beatles
the
catalog.
So who?
'Cause I think
is it
McCart-
still
maybe he
just
bought
his
Mc-
estate, or did he sell it, or does his estate?
Who
sell
owns
it?
the Beatles catalog?
Yeah,
Maybe it's Pepsi now. Yeah, publishing.
Paul McCartney and
And
Sony
Sony.
TV currently owns it. So
It's
did he
since
get it?
2017.
That's when he died.
Okay.
Does Michael Jackson's estate own
Yeah,
Beatles
but
catalog?
click on that right there.
Okay.
He sold 50% of it.
Okay, to 18 million. So for 95 million. So even whenever that was sold, but I did hear there's a story that like Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson were legitimately like friends, and I think when Paul McCartney was going through his divorce that cost him so much money,
Sold so much.
I think Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog, and Paul McCartney was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Can you imagine operating in a world in which you're so in this part of the stratosphere that the people you hang out with, like when your buddy gets divorced, you got to buy the Beatles catalog off of him just to keep him afloat?
Dude, there's like
What an insane level of society to live in.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's like just like 6 people who could understand how that not because of money, because there's dudes way richer than Michael Jackson.
Jeff's getting divorced. You got to buy all the Beatles songs.
But like,
Like,
like Mr. Khan, who owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Like, he has more money than Michael Jackson for
Yes.
sure. I bet you Paul McCartney's not selling him his catalog. I'm sure Paul McCartney, if that's even true, made the deal with Michael Jackson because they understood they live in the
nobody
same world.
fact-checked you on
They're
that.
just like just like hyper amazing people, right? Like who live in this world that nobody else can understand in like amazing famousness.
Yeah.
So you understand what I'm dealing with, dude.
but what's really
And then
funny
Michael
is
Jackson
they
was
all,
like, "Fuck you,
they
bro."
all go through the same shit. Like, you got to help out your buddy who's going through a really bitter divorce. Like, and you got to help him out with some of his shit. Like, it just happens to be the Beatles catalog. Like, what an insane level. Like, that's amazing. Okay, so how do we bring this back? So what would be? I have mine, I think.
No, it brought back number one to the title, which is
Well,
we
okay.
said Mariah Carey, which no one likes the rate increases, and a lot of people don't like Mariah Carey. They get
I
tired of
think
hearing "All I Want for
What
Christmas."
the big connection was, we get tired of hearing about rate increases the same way we're getting tired of hearing Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas." And
It's
Young
not All
Jesse's
I Want
prompt
for
to us
Christmas.
today was, what is one song you would get rid of and no one would miss it? And I think that was, at least Kelderman's answer was that, and the entire Beatles
Yeah,
catalog.
he
What's
took that to
your-
an extreme.
All of
Nick
the
doesn't
Beatles.
listen to
I
music.
don't listen
so
to a lot of. So I'm literally listening to you, to especially Matt, spit out all this knowledge on ridiculous musicians and who owns what. And I'm
he
like,
mentioned Michael Jackson and the Beatles and Paul McCartney. Who's
And I
part of the Beatles.
Googled it, and it's legit. I
The
think it's
fact
kind of
that
true.
you were saying, like, are you acting like these are obscure people?
I'm not saying they're obscure, but the fact is that you retain that knowledge. To even have that knowledge, you had to at least hear about it, go look it up, and to want to just retain it in your brain versus any other thing in the world that's going on.
This is what I love.
so-
I love sitting around having a glass of wine and talking about cool stuff like this. It's interesting to me.
We don't. Hey, when you're drinking wine at my house,
We never
we're
talk
not
about this
talking
stuff.
about
No.
Michael Jackson or the Beatles
That's
or
not
Paul
true.
McCartney.
We're talking economics.
Yes,
And
we're talking
a lot of
about
other stuff.
where it's going, how we can invest, how we can increase wealth and opportunities for our people in
That's
our world.
super true. That is
That
super true.
nothing changes.
That's actually
Paul
super true.
was Sir Paul was happy about it when it came to, or let's see. Well, that's at least one way to put it. As Michael's creativity is money, blah, blah. Michael Jackson purchased the publishing copyrights to songs written by Lennon McCartney and some earlier songs by George Harrison. that said that Sir Paul was annoyed about it at dinner or whatever.
Look this up.
$47.5 million in 1985. He bought it in 1985.
That
I think
even
what Paul
still
McCartney
seems cheap back then.
I think what Paul McCartney got pissed about was like as soon as he bought it, Michael Jackson immediately sold the copyright or allowed the copyrights to be used by like Pepsi.
Well, yeah, because probably the setup was like, hey, I'm trying not to lose this in my divorce. You just hold it for me for a while.
If I just paid $47.5 million for something and I want Pepsi to be able to use it so I can make some of that money back, sorry, Paul.
I think the deal was like, look, you're my buddy. This is a rabbit hole. I'm just trying to keep this for my wife, so I'm gonna sell it to you for now.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna sell it back to me later. Not you're gonna sell it to me and then start giving it to Pepsi. Maybe I don't know.
Pepsi's better than Coke for sure.
That is
True.
That is
I agree.
that is debatable. Can you Google how many people have been knighted? Every time I hear Sir Paul McCartney or Sir Elton John,
Since
or
when,
Sir Patrick
though?
Stewart, I just think
How many
ever-
people have been nice since 1950?
No. They just started doing this as celebrities. I think this is more of a modern thing. Yeah, all celebrities knighted by the king. How many are there? Lewis Hamilton got knighted. Come on, that dude's just got a better car than everyone. That's
Brian started watching F1 and now
Yeah,
he knows
I
who
did.
Lewis Hamilton is.
Emma Thompson's knighted. This is a lot of people. This is not that many people. There's only like 25 people. I can already see Angelina
Angelina
Jolie is
Jolie,
not
yep.
even British.
Yeah.
List of knights, people knighted.
Okay, so if I have British friends who see this, like, don't be mad at me, but is this kind of like when we give an honorary degree to somebody at like a fucking college?
Yeah.
I
the
think
same
it's like
situation?
that or like Key to the City.
Can
Yeah,
you break?
isn't
Can you
that-
still, when you're knighted, are you allowed to break the laws?
Oh,
I think
for
you
sure.
can probably park wherever you want.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
Especially at the castle. You just roll up in there.
Just
Do you
scrolling.
think
as
that if
fast
you're
you are-
knighted,
If I'm knighted, I'm parking on the grass at
do you think
Buckingham
Angelina?
Palace.
So you're telling me Angelina Jolie could just show up to the castle and
park on the lawn.
Probably, but if she brings Billy Bob with her, she cannot.
No,
That's
she
just
Because
like
he's not knighted.
No, not at all. And he probably smells. Does anybody else think Billy Bob Thornton seems like he smells?
It looks like.
You
it
ever looked at
smells,
people
for
like
sure.
Post Malone? Definitely smells.
Yeah, 100%. You know, he went to TCC.
Yeah, he's local. He's like from like Grapevine or Cranberry
He went
or
Went
Garland.
to TCC. That's crazy. We didn't even answer this question. First of all, it looks like about.
What are we
that's
still
only
doing
from
here? Are we
1950
still-
to 1977.
people still watching
I'm
us?
having fun. Actually, a lot of people are.
Seven of you.
What is your
Seven
favorite
of you
band
hung
then?
on.
If you don't like music,
I feel like we always get Nick with this. Like I just don't think
I
he
don't
cares
have
about
one.
just
music.
name a band. Is actually maybe I just want to know if Nick knows what music is.
I
So,
feel like Nick just
here's-
moves through his life listening to business
I can't
podcasts.
get him to even say the name of a band. You don't have to like them. You don't
I
even
will
have
tell
to
you.
like
I
'em.
will tell you that when I on the Peloton, I always the only music I ride to.
Peloton, talk about a company going nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, the only music I ride to is hip hop.
Okay.
So
Good for
I only
you,
listen to
bro.
hip-hop.
All right, so
so
name-
big. Actually, I love Biggie.
There you go.
Okay.
I accept this
That's
answer.
very
Fine.
solid.
That's fine.
That's
I
very
accept this
solid.
answer.
Okay, so what would be your song that if it was never heard again?
I can't name songs.
I-
I just know
okay.
the music.
Sing it, bro.
Please do.
Can I find some alignment here? I don't know how this song became popular. Who was the record executive that heard "Who Let the Dogs Out" and was like,
Jesus.
"This is
Yeah, I know.
No, dude. And I think
This is
this
what we're doing.
And this is where I'm an old guy, you guys, a
Really?
little bit. I think this just might be because you just weren't there. That was a whole genre of stupidity that existed in
oh, because
music.
that was when the Vanga Boys were big
Dude, there
too.
was so the Spice Girls
is
existed. There
coming.
was just this whole like just happy. That probably exists all the time, but it got weirdly
It was
popular.
very
It was
mainstream
expected
back then.
nothing from musicians for like a while.
Yeah. How do you? Okay, I guess a better question is like, how do you form the Baja Men? How do three dudes get together?
Those guys did not know each other before they walked into a record producer's office.
Okay, so they're fabricated.
100%.
Which is a lot of the boy bands, right?
100%.
Yeah,
most of the
yeah,
boy
they
bands.
gotta be.
Oh, so I asked Heather. All right, so I do have someone I could get rid of or a band because I was like, Heather, what is the band I always change off when it comes on? And she commented about this. Coldplay.
Oh,
Oh,
yes,
Okay.
because I actually bagged
I
on Coldplay
love
earlier.
Coldplay.
There was an expired today whose name was Chris Martin.
What?
And we had a whole Coldplay conversation, and I was like, could do without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single time it comes
Take
on.
it or leave it.
So there's something like I couldn't tell you. Obviously, I don't remember the name of it. But when any of their shit comes on, immediately next.
Yeah,
Bro,
we're the
fair.
same way. We're
Next
the same
time
way.
Fair.
you guys are driving home late at night, it's dark, you're having a very melancholy moment, and you put on
word.
The Scientist. You just tell me you're not having a revelatory experience. You guys are bananas right now.
Kelderman's out of here.
Unbelievable.
I mean, he is
Kelderman just
so-
quit the whole
Yeah,
show
he is so.
because he hates Coldplay so much.
Yeah, I get it. I'm out of here too.
But before we go,
Yeah, go support. You know who may or depending on if you like Coldplay
you know
or
who
not,
always hangs in there till the end?
Mortgage Mike. Mortgage Mike is always there with you, even if you don't want him hanging in there till the end. So go to mortgagemikeoftexas.com. Ask for that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval.
So Mortgage Mike's was anything by Britney Spears.
Well, that he had a reason for that because his daughters are like massive Britney
True,
Spears
but
fans.
still.
Have you looked her up on Twitter right now?
Would you look people up on Twitter? Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, people comment. Well, now on
I
Twitter,
just looked them up on Google.
I'm telling you, everyone's back on Twitter.
Okay, everybody
So,
came back.
Yeah, they're all back.
Is she not doing good?
She posts nudes on there now.
Oh, cool.
Oh, God.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen the.
So I didn't know if that's why the backers like
maybe
could get rid of her.
I haven't seen the documentary about her, but I heard that you become very empathetic towards her when you watch it. Like her dad,
I haven't seen
like
the
really
documentary.
messed her up and screwed her over. So
tell you.
like, I might shave my head too.
Yeah,
I
Mortgage
did once.
Mike of Texas. He'll shave his head with you too. Solidarity.
I mean,
Yeah, it might not be solidarity, but just be doing it.
MortgageMikeOfTexas.com. That Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. Then go check out Armadillo, the best home warranty company, because it's just a one-page contract. That's all they're signing. They don't really have any pre-existing conditions. They pay your contractors.
Pre-existing conditions.
They don't offer any pre-existing conditions. So they don't have anything like that in there. So it's a lot better than your health insurance. So go to armadillo.1/TOR, TORE, and then make sure that you're getting that referral fee when you're sending over your rental clients or your homeowners that want to rent their house out, right? Because they're probably telling you that they want to wait till the market gets better, even though it's a great time for them to sell. You've heard it on this show plenty of times. Go over to homeward@dfw.com, connect with Dana Wynn. You get that referral fee when we do lease that house out, so you want to connect with her immediately.
Well, I'm back.
It's good to have Matt back. He had his little Coldplay fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I was so angry at the show. But now we're leaving, so bye.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.